This is Author Conversations, the Stenhouse Publishers podcast. In today's podcast, Janet Allen talks about her new book, Inside Words, and how it complements her previous books, Words, 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 and Tools for Teaching Content Literacy.
When we first started talking about the idea of another book on vocabulary, I really wasn't looking forward to doing another one only because I thought, well, I've done Words, 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 and I've done tools for content literacy, so I wasn't quite sure how it would fit in with those two books, given that I felt like I had kind of explored that option of teaching vocabulary in schools and really wasn't sure what I had to add to it. But as we continued to talk about it, and I continued to work in classrooms and schools around the country with content literacy, and I found that one of the single biggest issues was that kids could not negotiate the vocabulary used in their content classes. And so, while we're, I think, often quick to say, and kids are certainly quick to say that, oh, these books are boring, that's why we don't read them, I really discovered that the single biggest reason why they don't read them is because they don't understand the vocabulary words. And that becomes not only an impediment to their reading, but it becomes the single biggest problem in terms of their writing. Because if you don't have insider vocabulary, it's almost impossible to write about content. And each subject not only has its insider vocabulary that goes with the subject at large, but it has insider vocabulary that goes with each topic or unit of study within that larger frame. And so if you look at science, certainly there are words that go with science, insider vocabulary words that go with science in general, but then there's another whole set of insider vocabulary that goes if we're doing the unit on digestion, or if we're doing the unit in the book on the solar system. That has its own body of words. And so I really started developing tools, doing more research on tools that I could use, and developing tools that I thought would be effective with students in elementary, middle, and high school to help them learn new words related to the topics of study, but also to help them use those words and make them meaningful enough so that students would have access to them in their academic writing that they have to do. I first actually realized that one of the biggest things getting in the way for kids in terms of their writing, particularly of nonfiction, is a lack of vocabulary when I was working in state assessment. And I found lots of students who were actually able writers. They not only knew the writing process, but had their own processes for writing. They just didn't have enough words to capture a great piece of writing. And so that was when I first really started thinking many years ago about what would it take so that kids felt like they had enough words in order to have confidence to do some academic writing. So I certainly see Inside Words as a great support for comprehension, but I also think that it has become an even bigger support in the classrooms where teachers are using the strategies that are in there for the students' writing. And so we're seeing writing improving as well as comprehension. And when I was looking at a frame, I think we went back and forth with how should we organize the tools that are there. And I really tried to look at the tools in the broad categories that are highlighted by the research. And that is some of the tools in there. We organized them alphabetically, but some of the tools in there are clearly designed to build word consciousness before the teacher gets students doing much of the reading that would be involved in their content classes. The activities and the instructional strategies that are highlighted help students look at what that body of words is prior to opening a book or opening a textbook. And that's a critical aspect of it because students need multiple exposures to words. They probably shouldn't be encountering them first in their textbooks. They need to see them in diverse situations and then build that body of words and take that knowledge into their textbooks because the textbooks will have additional challenges as well. I also looked at how would we teach individual words, what some researchers call stopper words. If there are one or two words that truly will stop comprehension, how would we go about making sure that students have enough information about those words to ably use them, both in terms of comprehension and in terms of writing? And then looking at strategy instruction. What are those things that students would actually have to know to learn words on their own There is some research that indicates that the most effective teacher can teach about 350 words through direct instruction in a school year. But students who are moving along as we would hope that they would each year of their chronological age and moving along through school, they need to learn about 3,000 to 5,000 new words a year, which puts a huge emphasis on the reason that we need to make sure that we're teaching students how to learn those new words through the use of context clues, through their knowledge of prefixes and root words and suffixes, their knowledge of figurative language. So that leads us to strategy instruction, which I think is clearly highlighted. And then I embedded it all in the necessity of really increasing both the volume of reading that students do and the diversity of reading that they do, because any vocabulary, comprehensive vocabulary program that gets put in place in any classroom or in any school, if in the absence of students increasing their reading, their volume and diversity of reading, the vocabulary program is always going to fall short. So I think it has been a different project than the ones that I had already done, but I see it clearly fitting both in terms of the philosophy and the instructional strategies with those books that those people listening to this podcast may already have.
To learn more about understanding academic vocabulary, check out Janet's Inside Words, available online at www.stenhouse.com and from your Stenhouse distributor. Thanks for listening.